The Servant Girl Annihilator. Between December 1884 and December 1885, a wave of terror gripped Austin, Texas, marking one of the United States' earliest documented serial killing sprees. The assailant targeted victims in the dead of night, typically entering homes and using an axe to incapacitate them before dragging them outdoors to inflict further trauma. The toll was devastating. 8 lives were lost. The victims included Molly Smith, December 30th, 1884, Eliza Shelley, May 6, 1885, Irene Cross, May 22, 1885, Mary Remy, August 30th, 1885, Gracie Vance in Orange, Washington, September 28, 1885, and Susan Hancock and Ulla Phillips, both on December 24, 1885. The majority of those killed were black women employed as domestic servants, though the casualties included one man, Orange, Washington. Beyond the fatalities, 8 others survived horrific assaults. The perpetrator's signature involved calculated cruelty, often posing bodies in specific ways, and, in some instances, inserting sharp objects into the victim's ears. The timing of these attacks suggested a predator who closely monitored residential patterns to strike when occupants were most vulnerable. Despite arresting over 400 men, the legal system failed to secure a definitive conviction. James Phillips was initially found guilty of his wife Ulla's murder, but the verdict was overturned. Susan Hancock's husband, Moses, was acquitted. By late 1885, the killings stopped as abruptly as they began. Modern theories often point to Nathan Elgin, a 19-year-old cook with a missing toe that matched a footprint at a crime scene. Elgin was killed by police during a separate assault in 1886. Hook, imagine a predator so elusive that an entire city believed he possessed supernatural powers. Are you ready to see how modern science finally caught up with history? Stay tuned and subscribe for more deep dives into cold cases. The Yogurt Shop Murders. On December 6, 1991, Austin was rocked by the discovery of 4 young girls deceased inside an I can't believe it's yogurt shop. The victims were bound, stripped, and shot in the head in an execution-style massacre. To erase forensic evidence, the killer set the shop on fire, though the store's sprinkler system preserved enough of the scene for later analysis. The brutality suggested a perpetrator who sought total control and ensured no witnesses survived. The investigation was plagued by false starts. In 1999, 4 men, Maurice Pierce, Robert Springsteen, Michael Scott, and Forrest Wellborn, were arrested based on coerced confessions. While Springsteen and Scott received death and life sentences respectively, their convictions were overturned in 2007 when DNA evidence proved that none of them were the source of biological material found on the victims. They were fully exonerated by 2025. The true breakthrough came through Weister DNA testing in 2025. The profile matched Robert Eugene Brasher's, a serial offender who had died by suicide in 1999. Brasher's was eventually linked to at least 8 other murders across multiple states. CTA. This case proves that the truth eventually surfaces. If you find these forensic breakthroughs fascinating, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update on solved cold cases. The Lover's Lane Murders. In August 1990, the quiet of Houston's Enclave Parkway was shattered when the bodies of Cheryl Henry, 22 and Andy Atkinson, 21, were found in a wooded area. The couple had last been seen at a nightclub called Bayou Mama's. Cheryl had been assaulted and her throat slashed. Andy was found tied to a tree, his throat cut so severely he was nearly decapitated. In a chilling display, golf clubs were used to mark Cheryl's body. Dina recovered from the scene linked this crime to another assault in Houston that same year, suggesting a serial predator was at large. However, the profile has never matched anyone in existing criminal databases. In 2017, investigators utilized DNA phenotyping to create a composite sketch of the suspect's physical appearance based on his genetic markers. Despite these efforts, the Lover's Lane killer remains a ghost. The sheer rage involved in the attack suggests a deeply disturbed individual who likely had intimate knowledge of the secluded area. Hook. What happens when the police have the killer's DNA, but no name to match it to? Keep watching to see more cases where the evidence is just waiting for a match. The mystery of Natasha Atchley. On May 3, 1992, 19-year-old Natasha Atchley's body was found in the trunk of her burned-out Chevrolet Camaro on a rural road in San Jacinto County. She had attended a party in Shepherd the night before. Because accelerants like drip gas were found at the scene, the case was initially treated as a homicide. Rumors of a group assault have persisted for decades, yet no one has ever been charged. However, some investigators, including former prosecutor Kelly Siegler, have theorized the death might have been a tragic accident. They suggest Natasha may have climbed into the trunk while impaired and accidentally started the fire. Her family vehemently disagrees, citing the presence of multiple burning substances and the unlikely nature of an accidental trunk fire. CTA. Was it a cover-up or a freak accident? Tell us what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more controversial cases. Sherry Jarvis, the Interstate 45 Jane Doe. For 41 years, a young girl found strangled and assaulted along I-45 in Huntsville, Texas, was known only as a Jane Doe. Found in 1980, she had bite marks on her body and had been left unclothed. It wasn't until 2021 that genetic genealogy identified her as Sherry Ann Jarvis, a runaway from Minnesota. While her identity is now known, her killer is not. While a DNA profile of the suspect was developed from biological evidence, the bite marks were not preserved well enough for extraction. Investigators are currently looking for links between Sherry and other victims found along the notorious Highway of Hell, an area known for a high concentration of serial activity. The murder of Missy Bevers. On April 18, 2016, fitness instructor Missy Bevers was murdered inside the Creekside Church of Christ in Midlothian. Surveillance footage captured a chilling sight: a person dressed in full police tactical gear roaming the hallways with a distinctive, duck-footed gait. Missy was struck with a tool that caused fatal head trauma shortly after she arrived to set up her class. The gear and the gait have been the focus of thousands of tips, yet no arrests have been made. The premeditated nature of the crime, with the killer lying in wait, suggests Missy was specifically targeted. The execution of Kenesha Siobhan Dixon. On May 9, 2000, Kenesha Dixon was shot dead the moment she opened her apartment door in Houston. She was holding a revolver for protection, likely due to a dispute earlier that day, but the killer fired before she could react. Forensic analysis confirmed her weapon was never discharged. The case remains cold, with no witnesses and no ballistic matches in the system. The speed of the attack suggests either a specific vendetta or a tragic case of mistaken identity. The driveway ambush. Elizabeth Barraza. In 2019, Elizabeth Barraza was setting up a garage sale in Tomball when a Nissan Frontier pulled up. An individual in a disguise, possibly a robe band, stepped out, shot her 4 times, and drove away. The entire execution was caught on camera. Elizabeth was a beloved member of the Star Wars 501st Legion cosplay group. While the motive remains a mystery, police believe it was a professional hit. In 2025, authorities located a matching vehicle in another state and are currently using MVAC-DNA vacuum technology to find traces of the killer. The Christmas Day tragedy. Estella and Andrew Salinas. Christmas 1980 turned into a nightmare when Estella Salinas and her 3-year-old son, Andrew, were found strangled near White Oak Bayou. Their car was found miles away. The brutal reality of a mother and child being taken together on a holiday has haunted Houston for decades. With no DNA matches and no clear suspects, the Salinas family continues to wait for justice 45 years later. The disappearance of Dada Taylor Maris. Dada Maris vanished from a Pasadena convenience store in July 1990. Her car was found abandoned with her purse still inside. Her remains were discovered months later in a field in Liberty County. Though ruled a homicide, the advanced decomposition of her body left few clues for investigators, leaving her family with more questions than answers. The short-lived marriage of Tony Ann Ockrey. In 1992, Tony Ann Ockrey had been married for only 2 weeks when she was found shot multiple times in a Guadalupe County ditch. She had been seen with an unidentified man shortly before her death, and her car was found at a gas station in a different town. Despite a reward offered in 2019, the man in her company and her killer remains unidentified.